So, with the fight night just a few hours away, I thought I'd come on and give my final prediction for all of the fights on the card. So, starting from the bottom, Padley versus Chamberlain. Look, I'm dying for Padley to win. You know, love an underdog story. You know, just a working class man. He's finally got the call up to the big stage. You know, with this money, he's finally got a nutritionist. He's finally, you know, being an athlete full time, which he hasn't done before this. So, I'll be rooting on for Padley, but I think the fact that the fight is at 140, not 135, Padley's natural weight, does me enough favour Chamberlain, who's massive. It sometimes gets on my nerves a bit, like all these, you know, fighters who cut crazy amounts of weight and then just come in so much heavier than their opponents. Like, you know, these weight categories exist for a reason. Like, I get why people do it, but sometimes it just gets on my nerves a bit, like, you know, these weight bullies. Like, you know, you're giving yourself such an advantage. I mean, the game's the game, right? I can't complain, but it feels a little bit unfair sometimes. But we have seen, obviously, that you can overcome these. You know, there are ways to overcome weight advantages. You know, look at Zhang Parker, Fury, Usyk. You know, there clearly is ways to overcome these weight differences, but it does sometimes get on my nerves. So I'm going to have to say, I'll say Chamberlain on points, just because of the weight difference, but I'll be rooting for Padley. Warrington Kakachi. After hearing Carl Frampton talk, he said he thinks Kakachi's biggest weakness is the guy is a little bit crazy. Like, if, in a good way, I mean, I'm not having a go at him. If Warrington starts with the dark arts, you know, the headbutts and all that, he's concerned Kakachi might just lose his rag. But I do think Kakachi will have too much. I think Josh's punch resistance is probably on the way out. Although he boxed really well against Leigh Wood, he did get caught, didn't he? And I think Kakachi, another massive guy for the weight. I think he'll have too much. I think we'll get Warrington out of there, round 8, let's say. Josh Kelly versus Ismail Davis. I think just because of the fact that Josh Kelly's been through an entire camp, I think it would be silly not to back him. But I do think Ismail Davis will have the hearts to get to the end. So I'm going to go with Josh Kelly on points just because of the full camp. But the change in style could cause a problem for Josh Kelly. You know, you've been preparing so long for one style to have another one. Like, it could just mess with your mind, right? You're going to start preparing the traps that you've had for your previous opponent, Liam Smith, but they might not work on this guy. You know, you can fall into habits that you're preparing for Liam Smith. Not necessarily going to work against Davis. So I'm looking forward to the fight, right? It seems a fairly equal matchup. They've both got the same best win in Troy Williamson. Kelly probably did a better job, but it's a fairly equal matchup, and I am excited. I mean, obviously frustrating that Davis has done a full camp, but I'm excited for the fight nonetheless. But I do think Joshua Kelly will do it on points. Joshua Boatsi versus Willie Hutchinson. I think Hutchinson's going to do him. I really do. Look at the way he blew out Craig Richards. The guy's got so much self-belief. He's already in Boatsi's head with the little mind games. I think Boatsi sometimes struggles to go through the gears, you know. He couldn't get Aziz out of there. Maybe it's because he was friendly with Aziz and didn't want to knock him out, but just, there's never been anything from Boatsi that's like, oh yeah, give him Bivol, give him better Biev, you know. You know, obviously he's got through Richards and Aziz, but, you know, he hasn't blown anyone out the water, at least in a little while. So I do think Hutchinson's going to do Boatsi. I think he'll win on points. I really do. I mean, this is harsh on Boatsi because I know Boatsi is such a good fighter, but I'm going to go with Hutchinson. I think Hutchinson's really good, and his win over Craig Richards gave me a lot of confidence. But obviously the Boatsi team will have been looking over that Craig Richards footage, you know, learning his style. But I do believe in Hutchinson, so I'm going to say Hutchinson on points. But obviously I don't feel great in writing Boatsi off because he's such a good fighter. Hamza Shiraz versus Tyler Denny. Again, like, Hamza Shiraz, such a big guy, kind of gets on my nerves. He's a little bit of a weight bully. Like, it's almost kind of like fight someone your own size. Look, I know the game's the game and he's free to do what he likes, but gets on my nerves a little bit. But what can you do? I like Tyler Denny, you know. He's a great underdog, great pressure fighter. And again, I'll be rooting for him. We all love an underdog, right? So I would love if Denny would beat Hamza Shiraz. But, you know, Shiraz is so good. He's only getting better. I do think it will be a Shiraz stoppage. I think similar to Amo Williams, around about round 10. And then obviously we come on to the main event. So for me, I can only see it going one of two ways, but I'm very split about which one to decide. I can see AJ stoppage within 6 rounds, but I think if it goes beyond 6 rounds, I think Dubois got a better gas tank. So I think if it goes beyond 6 rounds, I think Dubois will win. We've seen against Baby Miller, Dubois can go through the gears really well. He doesn't need to take rounds off, which we've seen Joshua need to do when he's gone through the gears before. So for me, I think it goes one of two ways. I think it's Joshua in the first 6, or it's Dubois in the last 6. Very torn. I think I'm going to say Dubois wins with a late stoppage, around 10. But I'm very split. Again, don't like writing AJ off, but I've got to make a decision, right? So there is my final predictions for the whole card. I mean, it's going to be a very exciting night of boxing, right? Huge undercard. You know, there's not one fight that I'm not excited for. I think they're all really good fights, and there's a lot on the line in this fight. You know, Dubois already lost twice, doesn't want a third loss. I mean, he could rebuild because he's still young, and obviously if AJ loses, you know, his career is pretty much over. I mean, there's still the Fury fight there, right? But it's not going to be good for AJ at all. It would have lost all that confidence he's worked so hard to build back up. Did anyone see that Tyson Fury interview as well on like the stomping round? Like the guy, he didn't look with it at all. Like I think he was just in a bit of a bad mood, but he really didn't look himself. You know, he hasn't spoken, you know, the eloquent way we've seen him speak before. So a little bit worried about Tyson Fury, but anyways, that's the story for a whole another video. And I mean, if Dubois wins, who does he fight next? I guess it would be Usyk or Fury. Maybe Parker, Bacoli, Caballero. I guess there's still good fights around, but I guess it's worse for AJ if he loses. But yeah, that's my final predictions. Leave your prediction in the comments down below. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.